Good morning and welcome to Y Space.
Hey, y'all.
Happy day after the Super Bowl.
That's right. Kind of
Hap-
sad because, no football left. We gotta wait
No,
months.
yeah, like no real football games for what, about 6 months?
Yeah. Unless you get into UFL and XFL, which we don't.
Well, please don't
That's
expect to come here
back
for
yet.
that. No. So if you've been living under a rock, the Super Bowl happened yesterday.
It
Uh,
did.
sort of.
Which, can I just say, so last year's Super Bowl was in Vegas, which is like a big to do,
Right. Mhm.
all the lights and everything city. So I was not expecting much from New Orleans. Now, I will say, I've never been to New Orleans. They put
Really?
on a great parade. No.
That feels right, actually.
We lived in Shreveport, but we never ventured to New Orleans as a kid. Right.
Shocker.
Land of sin.
Shocker. Okay.
But I was so impressed with all of the fanfare and how they just really turned all the streets into everything was Super Bowl and just made it what seemed like a whole experience. I was
Mhm.
very impressed that it almost seemed, I don't know, like a bigger deal, more impressive than when they were in Vegas.
Yeah, and
I thought they did a great job.
as someone who has spent a lot of time in New Orleans, my mom's family's from there. That's very on brand, and they love any reason to have a party, even if there's not a reason. So
Yeah,
yeah, that felt very right. What confused me, because we all know we're experts in time zones. I
of
kept
course.
saying it feels so early to be ending, but it's because it was in our time zone. I was like, gosh, I was like, oh yes, yes, those time
Right, they
zones.
were making it easy for us.
I thought when the Eras tour ended, I was done with that, but apparently not. But no, yeah, it looked like a heck of a time. Everyone I know that went, well, those that I know that went, they were Chiefs fans. I mean, they had an okay time, but everyone I know,
Yeah,
like they said, it was definitely Eagles fans heavy everywhere,
that's
which
what I kept hearing.
makes sense. You guys haven't had to pay like several years in a row to go, so I
That's
mean,
true.
that makes sense. You could even just tell in the broadcast, like listening to the cheers, and we'll get into all that. But we don't really have any entertainment talk today because we're going to be pretty heavy all about the Super Bowl, which does include some entertainment.
Yeah.
So I'm actually just going to jump straight into the game. We'll of course talk about Taylor because that's part of it, but have a lot of notes. I have a lot of LeBron stats.
Okay.
I have a lot of thoughts and feelings, and I'm just going to throw out a disclaimer. Becca says that I do this all the time. I might be feisty today, and not just because we lost. There's a lot and a lot of stupid people, and like you and I were
That's right.
raised similar. Like stupid was not a word we were supposed to use.
Right.
Um,
Think it, don't say it.
yeah, sometimes you just, I mean, call a spade a spade. So,
Right.
I've got notes in about 14 places. So
Okay.
I'm going to be kind of all over. I thought let's just start at the beginning of the
Yeah.
broadcast. Now, you started watching several hours before I did. We went to Top Golf after church.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then but I was there in time. I saw a little bit of the pre-show stuff. Enough to say that Aaron Andrews looked stunning to me.
Gorgeous.
Holy
Gorgeous.
moly. I thought Carissa Thompson looked fantastic too, but Aaron
Yeah.
Andrews,
She always she always is the best on the sidelines, but then the Super Bowl, she just takes it up another 15 notches.
did you
So
think
pretty.
that they had a little Taylor-esque to them both?
I mean, maybe a little with the bejewels and all that
Bejeweled,
dazzling.
well, and I'll say like Aaron's outfit when I noticed at the end when she was interviewing, no, maybe it was after halftime, she was interviewing Patrick. I don't know when it was, I'll be honest. But she had on like that gold blazer with the
Yes.
it made me think of the jacket from The Man during the Eras tour.
Yes.
Um, but both of them looked freaking fantastic. And I just have to say, I mean, there's obviously 285 men that cover these events. But like as far as the NFL goes, they're two of, I would say, probably the two biggest female voices, and
Yeah.
they do us proud. I mean,
Yes, agreed. They're
so
really good.
good and so professional, but yet still fun. But they know their stuff.
Right.
And it seems like players love them and coaches love them. It seems like even their co-hosts really love them. So
Well, because I think they don't always ask the stupid questions.
And I hate that for some female reporters, they kind of ask the real softball kind of questions. But like Erin specifically, when she does the sit downs with people, she really has a way of, sometimes they are a little bit of the softer ball kind of questions, but she always has a way to like wrap it into a bigger conversation. I just really.
Well, I think they do a really good job of when they do ask those simple questions, they get a lot more out of the players and the coaches. Whereas if anybody else asks that question, the players are going to give you yes, no answers and move on. Yeah. But for some reason, like they have that comfort to where you just want to keep talking and you explain yourself a little bit more.
Yeah. So I just want to start. That was my first note. Mad props to Erin and Carissa. I will say, as far as other commentators, when I got there, I watched Fox. So your Terry Bradshaw's, Howie Mandel, Howie Long. Not Howie Long. Might as well.
I was going to keep going. I was like, yeah, that sounds good.
Gronk and Jimmy Johnson. Listen, Terry, it's been a hell of a career for you, my man, but
maybe sit it out.
It makes me real uncomfortable how like off his rocker he seems.
Well, I feel like yesterday was maybe his worst.
Do you think he had been drinking maybe or something?
It was such a long day for them. I had Fox on, I guess, since 12, since they had started. And they kept talking about the same things over and over and over again. And it's just one of those where I feel like Terry was like, let me just talk about myself. That's something different.
Yeah.
And it was not great.
I only had, I guess, probably an hour of watching them, but it was pretty much every time he opened his mouth, Howie Long and Michael Strahan would look at each other like, oh, like that almost, and I hate to say this, but almost that feeling that you get watching game day when Kirk and all them are like, oh, is Coach Corso going to make it? Like, what's he going to say? I thought Strahan was great. I love to see that his daughter has now finished her treatments and she got to go to the game with him. So that's really heartwarming. I'm going to throw my first, I don't know what I'm going to call these today. I hate to steal from Melanie Schenkel and say side eye, but that may be the most polite way I can do this.
I feel like that's probably safe. Let's keep it
safe. Go with that, because I had another word, but I think we're going to go side eye. My first side eye is Gronk.
He's just taking a lot of hits to the head.
This is not his lane. Like, let's just stay in the commercials, throw your parties.
Yeah.
Stay up Tom Brady's ass.
I think, it's fun to bring him on for a 2-second clip or something, just to keep him relevant in the NFL space. But to sit down and have a conversation, I do think he understands the game.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he has a good take on it. I just don't think communication-wise, that's not the one we put on camera.
His sit down with Travis was a waste of time. Yeah. And just when he's on the panel, it's just no, side eye. Did you have any thoughts on the commentators before I launch into the first event?
No, I really just wish that maybe we could retire out some of those old heads.
Yeah.
We've got Brady, we've got Michael Strahan, even Howie Long. I think he's got a couple more years that he can do it. We've got enough of these.
He adds a lot. I don't feel like he ever has. Even Jimmy Johnson, I feel like he can get on my nerves too because he's real kind of like hokey. But I feel like he brings a little more to the game. Howie doesn't really say a whole lot that's of any use.
He's better when they're like indoors and they are going off of a screen. Like if he's got to break down a play or explain something, he talks a lot more there. But just to sit and make small talk, that's not really his forte. But I really we've got enough of these guys that have retired that I think are doing really well for themselves. I think we can probably switch out. Let's cycle in some new people.
Yeah. So as things began on the field, we started with how we always start the Super Bowl, where they re-recognize the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, Eric Armstead, whatever. And the Payton children. I always love that. And they bring out the nominees. It's just a special moment. That's a really, really high honor.
Yeah.
And then we did Lift Every Voice, which is I, I don't know what we really call it. I've heard it referred to. I don't know if this is appropriate. I've heard it referred to as like the Black National Anthem. I don't know if
that's what I've heard.
So, I mean, we did that as we do now.
Yeah.
It was fine. I mean, she did
great.
It was great. Then listen, I don't know that I'm not a Lady Gaga fan, but I'm not like what do they call themselves?
Like a ride or die.
Yeah.
Monsters.
But I did love the thing that they shot with her on the piano as like all the celebrities and people and first responders and everything. I thought it was fantastic.
So freaking good. Well, when they started and you've got Tom Brady and I forget that other guy's name that he always commentates with.
Burkhardt or whatever.
Yes. They start talking, you can tell like it's a filmed thing or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, this looks like it's put a lot of thought. And then you start seeing all these people walking behind them and then they all walk up and it's late. It was so good. And I loved it more than I thought I would.
Well, and I was so happy to see Aaron Andrews in it. So
yeah, Aaron and Carissa, they had all of them.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I thought it was very moving. I love that it paid tribute to all the honestly terrible things that have happened recently, but it wasn't like the Grammys where we had a QR code every 5 minutes to like donate to something. It was just, recognizing it. I thought it was fantastic.
Please give us money.
Yeah. And then we came back to the field, and of course, the king of New Orleans, Harry Connick Jr., I thought that was so fitting, him welcoming everyone to New Orleans. This seems, right. A lot of jazz. I mean, totally on brand.
With the whole band and everything, it was like we got an extra halftime show. It was
I kept saying, so we had some friends over and I kept saying, this isn't even the halftime show. We got the whole Southern University band. Master P walked out there, but for no reason, apparently.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that one out.
Because when we all were like, oh my God, it's Master P. And then I was like, where'd he go?
To be fair, I don't know that he knew why he was there either. Because he was just as confused as we did.
Yeah. And then we got to where we introduced the teams and this is where I started to have some problems too. I'm going to side eye John Hamm. Okay. I think he may have been drunk.
Well, and
it's New Orleans, so I can't judge.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think like we had just had, everybody's watching the Lady Gaga thing. Then you go into Harry Connick. Then we've got Lauren Daigle and Strombone Shorty, I think was his name.
Yeah.
Then you've got John Matisse that does national anthem. So like you had all of this really great stuff. So the momentum has really built up in the thing. And then you get John Hamm on the mic. And I just wondered, did he not have a pre-planned thing of what he was going to yell? So he's like trying to think on the fly, but also scream into a microphone that's already making your voice louder. And then he cracks and it was good. It was not good.
Now, listen, I know you haven't watched Landman yet. And I hate to be a spoiler alert to people. So if you're not wanting a spoiler on Landman, mute me for a second. He ends up dying of a heart issue in Landman.
Okay.
So he spends a lot of season 1 in a hospital bed because he's got this heart valve issue and he's going to have a heart transplant mid-surgery. He dies. So, they made him look in the thing like somebody in that condition. That's what he looked like last night. And I was terrified. I was like, what are we doing?
Have they normally had celebrities?
No, I don't know. That was weird.
That just like a New Orleans thing?
Yeah, that was weird. And then the Eagles had Bradley Cooper. I thought it was cool that he had that little kid with him. That's been
that little kid, because that little kid was with him everywhere.
Yeah, I don't remember the whole storyline. I believe he's a cancer survivor.
Okay, because at one point I was like, does Bradley Cooper have 2 kids? Because sometimes I forget he even has a kid.
Yeah.
So I said, maybe he has 2, and I forgot about the second. I don't know.
No, I believe I think there's a whole story behind that.
Make-A-Wish type thing?
Yeah. Okay. I thought Bradley did good. And then, let's talk America the Beautiful, Lauren Daigle. I mean,
so good.
She is so good. And I mean, she is from there, so obviously she nails the genre and the vibe. Trombone Shorty. I thought he was just going to play the trombone, but then when he started harmonizing, I was like, well, all right then.
Yeah. I love how they brought the culture of New Orleans into literally every little piece. I thought it was so good.
I think that it is, and I haven't fully thought this through, but I'm going to go ahead and stand by it. I don't know that there's another city where they can host that you'll ever be able to bring that much of the culture into it.
That is New Orleans has such a culture around it. It's like, you're right. Unless you're going to Nashville.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could.
And that would really just be like everybody wearing a cowboy hat. I mean,
right.
Am I right? Next year's in San Francisco?
I think so. It has to be somewhere with a dome, right?
So far, yeah. I think it is in the Bay, and that's not gonna. There's no. National anthem, John Baptiste. First of all, I thought his piano looked very cool with the splattered paint.
I love it.
And he was just fantastic as always. I mean,
you knew he would be.
Yeah. All right, and so that was sort of the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the coin toss, and I gotta be honest, I was feeling amazing. We won the coin toss.
Good.
Bells will receive the second half. I'm like, this is what we want. This is what we play for.
That's right.
And then the game started. So let me go ahead and get my stats and everything up. Y'all got to get my apps and everything open. The game started, and I will say, the first half was very bleak for the Chiefs. But what I will say is, and this is where it's a juxtaposition, our run defense could not have played a better game.
For sure.
Did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Which I have a note in a minute that's going to just destroy you. But yeah, I can't even. I can't wait to tell you. But I mean, run defense. But I feel like perhaps that was all we worked on.
I was going to say, it did appear that maybe the only thing we came prepared for was Saquon.
Yeah, I mean, so we nailed that. You know,
and I will say, like, before we get into picking apart the Chiefs and how absolutely deplorable they played last night, to have a season like they did, where you had everybody and their mother's brother get injured at the beginning, and you kept shifting through player after player, and you still, even if we were squeaking out a win, we were still squeaking out wins, and that's all that it comes down to. I will say huge props to that team, to that coaching staff, to even get you guys to the Super Bowl when all along everybody's saying, like, you guys can't even break 30 points in a game. Like, this is not the same. To have Patrick and some of those veterans lead that team and still push through those wins to get them to the Super Bowl, huge accomplishment. Yeah. That was a big deal. I think it was more of a letdown because we're used to seeing them take it up a notch when they get to the playoffs and they get to the Super Bowl. And so even at halftime, when we're like, are we going to shut out? We're like, listen, halftime's where the magic juju comes in. And we redirected everything.
Yeah.
So it was just, I think that was disappointing. This isn't the team that we want, but huge props that they got there, and they had so many rookies and so many guys that like made it through injury to get to that spot
and come back. Yeah. So in the first quarter 7-0, I was still feeling fine. I mean, I thought, well, there's the offense, but Jalen Hurts got a 1-yard touchdown run, of course, little tush push. Jake Elliott, the kicker for the Eagles, mad props to him.
Listen,
a leg.
He had some rough games this year, and so I thought, how's he going to do when he gets out of here? I'm going to tell you, he didn't flinch.
Nope. No, and I will say all credit in the world to the offensive line of the Eagles, to Landon and Jordan and those guys.
Yeah.
And Lane, I thought they did a fantastic job. Cam Jurgens, he made me laugh. There's a couple times you could tell that Jalen was calling an audible, and poor Cam, I think he's still trying to learn. And he would turn around and look back like, what was that?
Yeah.
One more time.
Yeah.
But I will say the defensive line for the Chiefs, I mean, showed up.
Yeah.
Tershawn Wharton, Chris Jones. We'll get to that in a minute. I can't talk about it yet.
Yeah.
Charles Omenihu, even though he made a horrific mistake towards the end. I mean, those guys really showed up because Saquon Barkley literally had one of the most historic running back years ever
Yeah.
in NFL history. And they held him to nothing
Yeah.
touchdown-wise. And so, I mean, that's massive. So, first quarter, I'm feeling like, okay, things are a little bit amiss. I can tell we're off. Patrick, here's the thing, though. This was my vibe. There is no spark. There was like nothing. It was like dead behind the eyes on every single guy.
Yeah. And I wonder if they had worked it up so much in their minds of like, I have to get out here and I have to play the best and we have to step it up and that they just forgot to go out and play football like you guys know what to do.
Well, now here's the thing. I don't know if you know this, but I actually have not ever coached an NFL football game.
Which is surprising that they haven't at least called you.
Well, look, last night they probably should have.
They needed to.
I've actually never coached any. Well, that's not true. I have coached a couple flag football games for girls. So
okay. I've coached from the stands quite a few times.
I feel like that gives me a little bit of credentialing to this situation, and this is going to be painful. This is going to come across and it's going to hurt. Okay. Andy Reid, who I adore.
Love him.
He called one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life last night. And that's on Andy Reid. And I don't get it, but this is what I have convinced myself. I had physical therapy this morning for, the hunchback finger.
As you do.
And she and I were talking and I said, something was wrong because Kareem Hunt, where were you? He hardly played.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, he was hurt, had to have been. Again, just like in the AFC Championship, DeAndre Hopkins was only in on like 2 plays. One he dropped, one he caught. Where were they? Juju, again, finally catching the ball. That's what tells me we're in trouble because Juju is catching the ball.
Right.
Pacheco, bless his heart, there were a couple times it looked like he was back, and then it was like, nope.
I don't think Hunt is hurt. I think Nagy loves Pacheco.
Okay, but here's the thing. So, and you texted me, you hope Nagy gets fired.
I do. I said it last year too, and I stand by it this year as well.
I said it last night to the people here. Let's get him out. Let's get Benjamin back. I'm good. Go. But Andy Reid called the game last night. Now, he's calling from a sheet that Nagy has prepared for him. I do not know why we went with a different plan in the AFC Championship and last night. I don't know why. It was terrible. Now, listen, I don't know what was going on with Patrick. I will say there was that one hit at the beginning of the game where his head slammed into the field like with brunt. I mean, I can tell you that man did not know his own name. Maybe that was it, but there was also another note that I found really interesting, and I believe it was Erin Andrews that said it in the pregame. She said, I think it was her. She said she asked Patrick, do you feel healthier for today's Super Bowl than you did last year's? And I assumed he would say yes because they had all that time to rest. He said no. He said he felt better last year, and I thought he was glass last year. So
he looked exhausted last night.
I think there was more going on than we knew, and there was no spark in anyone last night.
And I think even Travis said that maybe he was standing in his locker and people were asking. He said, we just never got a spark. We never got a spark. But I will say it was like the last 7 minutes of the game where like you don't have a shot in heck to come back. But all of a sudden, start using Xavier Worthy in a sweet spot. Tell him to run. He can catch anything. Just tell him to run.
Yep.
And then Patrick starts playing just football. So I don't know if Patrick started just calling an audible at the line.
Did they quit? Because if you noticed, every other part of the quarter, you could tell he was listening in his helmet for the play. Yeah. That last 7 minutes, he never once stopped. And I just thought
if they had played this way, if they had played this way the whole time, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Now,
but you waited until 7 minutes, and the Eagles, phenomenal on clock management. I'm going to tell you, they top notch. It was weird to me the whole time saying that Coach Reed was being outcoached? Because I've never thought that.
Of all the notes I thought I would have today, even if we had lost, that was not the note I was coming with. But I do have a thought on the coaching. We're going to get to that too. Second quarter, Jake Elliott had a massive 48-yard field goal. And then Cooper DeJean, the rookie, on his 22nd birthday, got a 38-yard interception return. I actually really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That actually, I did tell you I gambled on this game. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but that actually counted. That was a random thing I picked to have happen, and that counted.
Seriously?
Yeah. But when we can't talk about it yet.
Lord.
And then A.J. Brown caught a 12-yard touchdown pass. That put him up 24-0 at that point.
I loved that he got one.
That was also something I had bet on. So Jalen Hurts' 1-yard run was also something I bet on. Just wait. Please just wait. Okay, so then we're going to halftime, and I'm it's 24-0. I mean, we've seen other things happen. It's
right.
With Patrick Mahomes. They're going to go in, trap, Pat, Andy. They're going to light a fire. They're going to come back out. They came back out better than they went in.
Listen, I think that we all were like, we've come back from worse. It's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, there's this magic that we put on halftime for these teams that they're going to go in, they're going to regroup, and they're going to be like, guys, this is what I'm seeing. Okay, let's pivot. They didn't pivot a single time. And I've never seen the Chiefs not pivot and be able to answer. Never.
Okay, do we want to finish recapping the game and then go back to everything, or talk about the things that were happening during these times as well?
Let's finish recapping the game, and then we'll come back to halftime.
I got more notes than you know what to do.
We got a lot of notes on halftime.
Yeah. So we come back after halftime, and I'm like, all right, let's go. Well, then Jake Elliott kicks another field goal. And then Devonta Smith scores a touchdown, 46-yard touchdown. I also had money on that. Just hold on to these golden nuggets, okay? And then I think when things can't get worse, it's 34-0. Finally, Xavier Worthy touchdown. Okay. I also had money on that. Let's just keep holding on to this, okay?
Okay.
So then we decided to go for a 2-point pass conversion,
which at this point I'm screaming at the TV.
I didn't get it because we had no momentum. Like,
right.
Let's just play.
If you don't get the 2-point, that momentum that you just built getting that touchdown, you've deflated your team again. We hadn't been getting into the end zone, so why are we trying it? Just get us 1 point.
So then we about this time it's 34-6. We're starting about to start the fourth quarter, and I'm like, well, yeah, this is it. This point, the hero of our home, Chris Jones, goes down. And at first I thought his brace just messed up. But that is not what happened. He missed the rest of the game, and on a non-contact injury. That's, if you know nothing, just so you know, that's a real bad sign.
Not good. Yeah.
So then Jake Elliott got him 2 more field goals, 48 and 50-yard. I mean, props to Jake Elliott. I mean, yes, Jalen Hurts was the MVP but well-deserved, but I mean, Jake Elliott showed up, dude. And then, like you said, we kind of started playing some football. And so just play catch. That's what I kept saying. Just play catch. DeAndre Hopkins got a 7-yard touchdown pass. I also had money on that. Just wait. I cannot wait to tell you what happened.
Oh, no.
And then Xavier Worthy caught that 50-yard bomb from Patrick. Also had money on that.
Incredible.
Beautiful.
God.
And so those were kind of the scoring plays where we ended the game at 40-22. Now let's talk some stats here. The Eagles never one time in that entire game called a blitz defense. Yet Patrick set the record for being sacked the most times in NFL history in the Super Bowl. He was sacked and pressured on over 60% of the plays. Okay. He did throw 2 interceptions. He did throw for 257 yards, which I had money on too. Just wait for that. Yeah. So then Kareem Hunt only had 9 yards on the day. I had some money on Kareem Hunt. He just had to get 1 yard.
Oh,
so I got that. Okay, got that.
Okay.
Okay, so you're still holding on with bated breath, I know. Okay. So then I said Xavier Worthy's going to get 2 touchdowns. He did. And then I said DeAndre Hopkins is going to get a touchdown, and he did. I said Travis Kelce was going to get a touchdown.
It kills you every time.
Oh, just wait for the other thing. Okay, so so that didn't happen, just so you know.
No, it did not.
Let's see. Patrick fumbled and lost the ball. Creed Humphrey fumbled. He got it back, but he fumbled. Yeah, so then we that was our offense. Let's talk a little bit about our defense. Let's see. 1, 2. We had 2 sacks on the whole game. One was Drew Tranquil, who shouldn't even be the one sacking the quarterback. And then Karlaftis had one sack, and I had money on Karlaftis to get a sack. So if you're keeping track, I'm good so far, right? Other than Travis, right? Okay, so that was pretty much that. Brian Cook got that huge interception, and I was like, oh man, I had money on that too.
Yes.
Okay, didn't have to be Brian Cook, didn't have to be anybody, it just had to be somebody. Somebody had to get an interception.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, just wait. Okay, so that was the Chiefs.
Which I thought that interception might.
I thought that was it. I thought that was the game changer. I thought, okay, are we good?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that's the Chiefs stats. Let's look at the Eagles. Jalen threw for 221. I needed him to throw 220. 1 yard over. Okay. You're feeling good about it, aren't you?
Nice.
You're feeling real good.
Okay.
We have one more thing that I have to get. Oh no, you're delayed. You're frozen. Okay, you back. What'd you say? You're still frozen. Do we need to call IT?
No. It got to where Jalen threw for 20.
Okay. Are you back?
I think we're good. Let's keep going.
So I needed Jalen to throw 220. He threw 221.
I'm back.
I had one last thing that I needed to have happen. Now, guys, this is going to be crazy. I'll probably even put it in the pictures of the episode. I only bet $20. Okay. That was it. $20.
Okay.
I needed Saquon Barkley to score a touchdown. Saquon Barkley,
which you would have thought would have been a safe bet.
So I missed my parlay on Travis and Saquon Barkley for $30,000.
No. Oh, Mandy.
Sick.
Yeah, that'll make you sick.
Absolutely sick. $30,000 on a $20 bet. The way that works
oh my gosh.
The way it works.
The thing is, the Saquon piece isn't crazy.
Like, it's Saquon Barkley. I can't talk about it.
This is what he does.
I can't talk about it. All right, so,
oh my God.
Then the Eagles, had games of their life. They ended up with 6 sacks on the day, several of which I had put money on. So, yeah, that was the game. I lost $30,000 on $20.
I will tell you, I was thoroughly impressed with the Eagles. I'm going to tell you, they were all on the same page. Yeah. They were locked in from start to finish.
Yeah.
They knew their playbook. They had done their homework. They knew our defense. They knew our offense forwards and backwards before we could even get into a formation. It was impressive how they came back from a loss 2 years ago to what they looked like last night. Very impressive.
Yeah, so what I'll say about the coaching note, I was thoroughly disappointed in the game that Andy Reid called. Here's what I'm going to tell you. No one should be happier today to have won that Super Bowl than Nick Sirianni. because he did nothing to coach that game. That was 1,000% Vic Fangio
and Kellen
Moore. Nick Sirianni had not 1 ounce to do with that game, and that's the thing that makes me the sickest is that man now has that Lombardi trophy, and he did absolutely nothing, and he is a complete buffoon.
But to me, also, that tells you, in one aspect, how good of a coach leader he is. You have formed a team of coaches to do their job so well that you just need to manage them. I need to manage the game.
I can't give him credit for that because here's what I believe happened.
Because you hate him.
What is the guy's Jeffrey Lurie that owns the Eagles?
Yes.
I almost said Howie Long again. I am all over the place.
You're all about that one.
Jeffrey Lurie, I think, is the one that should get all of the credit because I think he was like, all right, Nick, you got one last chance. We're going to get the right coordinators with you. And I think that was because it's much like the Chiefs do with players. Andy doesn't go. I think Andy has a say in who comes and goes, but Brett makes the decisions.
Right.
I think they're set up a little bit like the Cowboys. That Jeffrey Lurie makes all the decisions, except he's not like insane like Jerry is.
Right. He actually knows what he's doing a little bit more.
It'll be interesting. I mean, they were saying even before the game, allegedly Kellen Moore is taking the New Orleans job.
Okay. Did you catch at the end of the game, as soon as Nick Sirianni comes up to hold the Lombardi trophy, and he was like, let's run it back. Like, they all know Kellen's gone.
So that will be interesting to see that turnover. Yeah. I mean, I will say props to the Eagles on the game. I don't even know where to go with all my spicy notes now.
I think also because you're going to lose your OC with Kellen, he's going to go to the Saints. I think Vic Fangio might retire. Because they were all talking about like his age, and they were saying
like 66 or something.
Yeah, they were saying how they wanted to win this for him. You want those guys to go out on a high note. Brandon Graham had already said, win or lose, he was retiring. You want him to go out on a high note. Like there were so many guys on that team that even though the Chiefs lost, I loved seeing those guys get a ring.
I was super happy for him. I have to say, and this may begin my spicy takes, I was really disappointed with Jason Kelce. I felt bad for Jason in that, like, the first season you're done, they go get that ring. Because so much of his leadership, I think, helped build that line into who they are. But I was real disappointed with his commentary over the past few days. I get that you played for the Eagles and you know, whatever. But you like talking about those guys like they're as close to you as a brother. I get that sentiment too, but I did not like it. It did not sit right with me. And one of those guys that he has defended several times, and I'm real interested to see if he says anything. He won't, because he won't get messy. Did you happen to see the social media post on Instagram from CJ Gardner-Johnson?
No.
So he posted a picture of him and Trav kind of like squared up at the game. It was, I guess, a reel or what. I sound like a 90-year-old woman. I don't know what you call it when there's like two pictures.
Something on the socials.
So there's that one, and it said in the caption, should have stayed with that thick shit. And the next picture was Kayla Nicole in a string bikini in Travis's lap.
Ugh.
So this is where I'm interested to see New Heights this week, but I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to watch it. I may have to catch the clips, because if he doesn't say something about that kind of horse shit that was happening all over social media by several people on the Eagles, I'm gonna have a problem with that. That's just not like, I just am out on it. Now, granted, CJ Gardner-Johnson is known to be a jackass, but
yeah,
I really, really had a problem with it. And sure, okay, we'll talk about that Taylor got booed, who also could not have looked more confused.
Right?
She looks at Ice Spice like, what's happening? I don't even understand. Right? This is not a political podcast, but Donald Trump taking the opportunity to then post like the MAGA people how aren't forgiving. Please shut the fuck up. That's all I can tell you, sir.
That was 80% Eagles fans that are going to boo anything related to the Chiefs that come up.
Like, I got to pull up some notes I've got here because a lot of people said it a lot better than what I really want to say. First of all, props to Trav as he's walking off the field. He was clapping for the Eagles as the confetti was going down.
Yeah. Because they busted their butt. They deserved that win.
Yeah. Lana Del Rey, I must say, she came out on Twitter and said on Instagram, a bunch of pregnant white men booing at Taylor Swift for simply being there to support her boyfriend and watch the game like everyone else. This tells you exactly what you need to know about football and the state that America is currently in. That woman has enough money to buy the whole stadium and turn it into whatever she likes, while most of y'all struggle to pay your taxes and daily bills. America's doomed. Go ahead, Lana. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing that I was thinking. I get, like, when you're at a sporting event and the opposing team comes out, like, people boo them or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we've talked about this on people that post on Twitter. When your frontal lobe is supposed to be fully formed, it baffles me to be a grown adult sitting in a stadium and you're booing an individual person. There were some people that booed Trump. There were some people that booed, like, other things. It's wild to me to think like I would ever be in a situation where I'm booing another human being. It does not make sense.
Like, I could see booing the other team.
Yeah, like that's what you do.
Game.
Yeah.
And again, it's not because I'm a Taylor fan, because I mean, they booed
weird behavior.
I'm not a fan of it. I didn't get it. Like, what are we doing? I just can't. It's just kind of whatever. But some other things I thought were cool. Devonta Smith, he's only one of 5 players to ever win the Heisman, Super Bowl, and the national championship. Like,
do you know he's also the only player drafted from Alabama into the NFL that has made a touchdown in the Super Bowl?
Did you know Xavier Worthy is the only Texas Longhorn to ever score a touchdown in the Super Bowl?
That's crazy.
Both facts are mind-blowing. Like,
especially for how big those schools are.
And like all 5-star athletes, and they're all top picks, and it's weird.
Crazy.
Very weird. So that should give some hope to guys that go to these little other schools.
That's right.
I think that okay, let's go ahead and talk about halftime, and then we're going to switch gears to talk about some other stuff going on with the Chiefs. Now listen, I posted on Facebook last night that halftime show was not for everyone. Okay.
Right.
It went over 98% of America's head. Okay.
Yeah.
Did it go over the heads of my house? No. Everyone in my house could not have been happier with the show.
Yeah.
We say all the time on this show that there's nothing we love more than Petty, and every ounce of that performance was Petty.
The whole thing was Petty. That was right up our alley.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, I love Kendrick. I love here's the thing. If you don't like rap music, that's totally fine. Yeah. But if you like lyrics and lyricist, Kendrick Lamar should be at the top of your list, because the dude can write music like Taylor Swift, is what I'm going to say. I loved the dancers. I loved that everyone was clothed. I loved
how he had them popping out of the car. Like it was a clown. I loved it.
At first, I couldn't see the block under it, and I was like, what is happening? But then clearly they were coming up from the field. But yeah, I was like,
yeah, that was the first thing I clocked, was that block under the car. And I was like, I wonder if that's just to keep it from rolling. And then when they kept coming out, I was like, oh no, people are like climbing up.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. This person on Twitter said, Kendrick Lamar may not be your style music, and that's okay. But the dude came out sporting the American flag. Everyone was fully clothed.
Yep.
There was no obvious signs of satanic worship. Yep. I understand our bar isn't set high these days, but conservatives need to pick their battles. This was a W, guys. Calm down.
Yes.
But
also, here's the thing. A lot of the people, the NFL is tapping the halftime show with what is current in pop culture right now.
Yeah.
They're going for the big. So it's not going to land with everybody. It's not going to land with all the old people that had the money to buy the Super Bowl tickets. It's not going to land, like I was telling Doug this morning, all the older people from like churches that we grew up with posted online of like, that just was a horrible halftime show. And I was like, it's not for your age group. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to have Harry Connick Jr. do a halftime show. We're not pulling in Amy Grant. Like, it's going to be something like this.
Well, and you know, I would say though, when I made my post on social media that it was, you know, it wasn't for everyone, I was actually surprised how many people agreed with me, and all over age range. Actually, the woman who delivered Judd agreed with me. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. Now, there were, of course, people that didn't. And one of the guys I went to college with said, you know, it didn't compare to like rappers of our time. Now, here's what I'll say. As far as entertainment value, the show with Eminem, Dr. Dre, and Snoop,
phenomenal.
You're right. We're not going to trump that. Like, that was, for us in our age range, that was like as epic as it gets. But for the moment, Kendrick Lamar is the moment.
Well, but you also have to remember all of the newer, younger fans that have come into the NFL in the last year or two. They want to keep them.
So a couple things here that I have to call out. First of all, as soon as Taylor was booed, I don't know if I didn't see it on YouTube TV or what. I didn't even know I knew I could hear booing, but I couldn't see the Jumbotron, so I didn't know it was her.
They weren't showing the Jumbotron on the TV.
The only reason I ever found out in the beginning that it was her was because I had a friend at the game that was like, hey, they just booed your girl. And I was like, people are stupid. Again, that will be on our merch. But also because Serena Williams tweeted.
Loved it.
And I just, listen.
She's going to protect women at all costs, and I love her.
Serena Williams won the halftime show for me. Okay, listen, I am a huge Kendrick fan. Like, if y'all go back to the episode when Becca was in Hawaii and Aaron filled in, we did a whole deep dive on the beef between Drake and Kendrick. And at the time, Aaron was still struggling because he was very faithful to Drake. He has since corrected the error of his ways. So, I mean, there were so many epic parts to that. But Serena Williams coming out and crip walking. Okay, let me help y'all. Bring it in, because there's going to be people that don't understand what this meant, first of all, Drake and Serena used to date, okay? Right. And he's rapped about it. And mocked the fact that she married someone else and things like that. So her coming out during Kendrick, just holy moly. But also, she was heavily criticized when the last time she won Wimbledon, that she crip walked. And what crip walking is, it is a form of dancing. I know some of you are like panties in a wad. Oh, crip, like blood in the crip. I mean, yes, but no, like that's not right. It's just a form of dancing. It is not like if a person went in the hood today into crip walk that it would cause a shootout. It wouldn't. But the fact that she crip walked was just, God.
She looked so good.
Oh my God, she looked incredible. Like,
I will say, she gets a lot of hate for her looks and all of that stuff. And I've always said she's a big girl. She's very muscular. No. I've always said, like, her fashion's not the best. Her makeup is not the best. Listen, on point. She looked phenomenal. And like, I had studied up on my Drake and Kendrick beef because I was like, okay, if there's little nuggets in here, I want to be able to figure it out.
Oh, there were.
What, that they had dated. And so when she popped up, I was like, well, this is random. And then I think you had texted me. I was like, oh my gosh, they had dated. I was like, this is even better than I had hoped.
You know, there was all these rumors of people that would pop up. We already knew SZA was going to be there because she and Kendrick are on tour together. And first of all, also, SZA, you looked like $1 million.
So good.
She looked gorgeous. She sounded phenomenal. Listen, my 9-year-old coming to me and saying she looks like a prettier version of Brandy. That was not something I expected, but so accurate.
He's not wrong.
Well, hey, listen, if I do a lot of things wrong in parenting, I got that part right. For that part, SZA was phenomenal. She looked gorgeous. Kendrick. Okay, one of my favorite things that he did, I don't know if you noticed, Kendrick is not a big jewelry wearer. He's not flashy like that. He's not a rapper. But the fact that he had a lowercase a and hearing the entire Superdome yelling A minor.
Was that not the funniest thing ever? Listen, you didn't know any of the words to that song, but they sure knew A minor. Like, it was so
It
fun.
was just, and then the fact that when the camera came close to his face and he just smiled and said, "Hey, Drake."
Hey, Drake.
Oh my God. And then in the beginning, when he's like kind of hinted at some of the notes to Not Like Us, and he said, they want me to play their favorite song, but people like to sue because, of course, Drake is suing him for defamation now. Well, first he tried to sue him for saying he paid for all those streams. When he realized that, like, that ain't going nowhere because people love that song, he said, well, it's defamation of character. Mm-hmm. Well, the thing that a lot of people missed, a lot of people were like, okay, but what was Samuel L. Jackson doing there and why was he dressed like Uncle Sam? Well, that's because nobody loves a double entendre more than Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift and Jack Antonoff. That's because Not Like Us is, yes, a complete epically proportioned diss to Drake, but it's also about slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also about what America did, back in the day, which was not good. It was so good. The flag, he was not disrespectful to America.
Did you catch the stage? Did you notice that? It had the O and the X and the triangle and the square. Do you know what that was?
I didn't catch it. No, what is it?
When they did a view from up above.
Well, I saw when it said game over.
Okay, but at the very beginning, when they did a shot above the stage and you could see the four corners they were all dancing in, it was the buttons of a PlayStation controller.
Yeah. I get that.
Who owns PlayStation? Sony.
Oh.
Who is Drake's
label?
Sony. He controlled the game the whole time.
Oh, and then it said game over. I did notice that is, I got to see if Aaron noticed that because we were so caught up in just, so good. Listen, again, I know it wasn't for everyone. You didn't have to love it.
But it was good.
It wasn't for you. It's much like what we talked about last week with the Grammys. The Tortured Poets Department album was not for the Grammys. It was for the Swifties and for Taylor.
Yeah.
Our halftime show was for the people. I don't know what you call us, but it was for us. It was for us, and it was so great. Kendrick was amazing.
Yeah.
I was so glad that he didn't bring people out because he could have brought out a lot of people. It could have gotten some real petty levels. He could have brought out Pharrell. He could have brought out J. Cole. I mean, hell, he could have brought out a lot of people. But
I like when he did a good show. He wanted to be petty towards Drake, and Drake picked up on every single petty. Even if we didn't catch them all, Drake did. And that's all he cared about.
Oh, it was so, for those of us who love petty.
And even I saw a clip, 50 Cent was on somebody's like radio show or something, and 50 was like, I think they had filed the lawsuit hoping it would stop. Like then the NFL would be like, oh, we don't want to get dragged into this mess. And 50 was like, that didn't work out. That didn't work out at all. Because then the NFL on their socials, the clip that they posted was when he's looking at the camera saying, "Hey, Drake."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everyone leaned into it hard in the paint, and I was there for it. We've got a question that's going to come up that was perfectly timed and actually the question that we're going to answer that's about Drake and all of this did not come after the Super Bowl. It came before. Yeah. So it came in even harder.
Who would you say overall won Super Bowl weekend for you?
That's so funny. That was one of my surprise questions for you.
Oh, was it?
You preempted me. Who won the weekend or the night?
You could do both.
Well, who won the night for me was Serena Williams.
Okay.
Wholeheartedly, because she came for the people that were coming for Taylor. So I'm in. She looked absolutely stunning. And like it just was the chef's kiss on Kendrick's performance. Who won the weekend for me?
Do we get my answer?
Yeah, let me hear your answer.
Jameis Winston.
Okay, I do have other things to talk about. I hope he retires, and I hope he goes into commentating because he was so fantastic at everything.
So funny. I'm telling you what, Fox Sports, whoever's idea it was to bring him for the weekend, pay raise.
He was so great. Yeah, I would say he won the weekend for me. I had a lot of mixed feelings about the weekend. I thought it was weird. Now, okay, for some Taylor talk for us. I love that we got a date night. Because I loved seeing them out. I loved seeing them with Patrick and Brittany. I loved seeing Taylor go out with the Heim sisters because I love Heim. I don't know that I love that it happened though, because I don't know if I don't recall. Now, obviously, last year she was like flying in from Asia, so it was like I'm landing and starting.
So last year, Brittany posted. I think they get a night free. Brittany had posted on her socials because Bronze was still pretty little last year.
Yeah.
And they were like an Airbnb or something.
Oh, yeah.
But she posted a picture and Patrick was at the Airbnb with her. So I'm like, I wonder if they just get a free night and like because they were all there and she didn't have the kids or whatever, like they did a date night as opposed to last year. Taylor was on tour. Brittany had
she was
Bronze was little.
Yeah, and they weren't the only people that went out. I saw Juju's I never know if people are fiancés' wives. I never know. I saw them saying date night. I saw she saying they were on a date night. So I think that was part of it. But here's the thing that alarmed me, and I told you, and it was being reported everywhere yesterday that if the Chiefs won, that Travis was for sure retiring. There was a look in his eye at that date night. And I think he's done. I really do. I even think with as horrific as that game went, and we're going to talk about this because we're going to talk about free agency here in a second. I think he's done. And so when I saw that they were on a date night, I felt weird about it because I'm like, oh, let's stay focused on the game.
Yeah.
But also, and it was not that he was unhappy with her. He was clinging to her in a way, but there was something in his eyes. And there was something, and yes, Patrick was crying at the end of the game because he took full responsibility for that game, which he should have. But the way that the two of them embraced, I think that was it. I do. And I don't want it to be true, but I
don't know that it's like a for sure.
Are we delayed? Because you're just
I just think that the conversation has probably happened between the two of them.
Well, I even thought the way that Patrick answered the question, I think that the way Patrick answered the question when he was just kind of like, I'm going to leave that to Trav, as opposed to saying like, no, as far as I know, he's like how he normally is. And I just think the spark was gone, and he still loves football and he still loves coming to work because he loves those guys. But he always said he would play until the wheels fell off, and there were no wheels last night. And I just think that is part of it. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Jameis Winston though, I loved that part of it. I feel like there was one other thing I really loved about the weekend, and now I can't think about what it was. I did like, and I think this happens at every Super Bowl. It definitely happened in Vegas last year, probably even more so. I love the little pop-up things that happen over the weekend, like Lady Gaga popped up at a bar. There were some other people that just popped up and played at bars randomly. What?
Yeah.
Why am I never there?
I mean, because they're already there for the game. They're already there for all the private parties and events.
This
lag is fun.
Is it better?
Oh, shoot. No, but it was a fun weekend.
We've got a lot of free agency issues at the Chiefs now that the season's over. And there were a couple of guys, first of all, I did not realize were free agents and made some posts already on social media that were pretty much sounding like their goodbyes to the Chiefs, one of which stunned me. Justin Reed.
I noticed that one. I didn't realize
I didn't realize either. And it very much sounded like either he knew, they knew. I don't know. But we've got a lot of free agents. We got Trey Smith, and from everything I'm reading from Kansas City sports writers, it sounds like he's gone. And I don't know, before last night, I was really against that because the line this year had done so well for Patrick, even with Jawan Taylor and all his snafus, and even with the stuff with Wanye. But Joe Thuney, I mean, he's a possible extension candidate. You also have to wonder if Joe's close to wanting to retire, because you got to remember he already won a few rings in New England too.
Yeah.
But our line got thrown around last night.
We gotta redo that.
That was so I don't know. Nick Bolton is a free agent. I saw a lot of sports writers saying he was garbage. I did not think that all
phenomenal.
Yeah, I was confused. So maybe I'm confused.
No, we got to keep him.
Justin Reed, I did not realize that. And his post very much sounded like a goodbye to Kansas City. And I don't know as to like what that means. Is he retiring? Is he going elsewhere? Has he already been told? Has he asked? I don't know.
Yeah.
Defensive ends, Charles Omenihu and Tershawn Wharton. Now, here's the thing. I would love to keep both of them. I know that Omenihu made a real stupid decision and lined up in the neutral zone. He also came back from an ACL injury, and I thought he and Tershawn all season. Well, I mean, Omenihu was out most of the season, but once he came back, I thought they were both phenomenal. I would love to keep them. I do think, Trav and Chris have said when Trav goes, Chris goes. So this could be it. Also, if there is a tear in Chris's knee, which I think is real possible, he's going to miss a lot of next season anyway, with it happening this late in the game season. We need those guys back is what I'm thinking. But then we got Hollywood, DeAndre Hopkins, and Justin Watson, all free agents.
Wow. That's a lot of decisions to make.
But then you got to also remember, we've got Rasheed's legal issues.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you do. I mean, I thought we used Hollywood a little more last night, and he had a couple good ones and a couple bad ones. I'm kind of fine losing him if we can get somebody different.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know what the deal is, because we didn't use him in the AFC Championship, and we didn't really use him last night. But
I don't think that was a him thing. Again,
no, I think it was Nate. Yeah, so I don't know, but he also is older. So I don't know. Justin Watson, I'm fine losing him. I mean, I hate to say that. People that are available for extensions: Trent McDuffie, Joe Thuney, and George Karlaftis. Karlaftis, please give him everything.
I was gonna say, you better extend all those guys.
McDuffie, I'm a little weird on. I mean, all season he was fantastic, and then he kind of shit the bed too. So
here's the thing: it's not going to be your day every time. And I think because he had a couple of rough games, I don't think we cut him from the team. I think he still has the potential to be a solid leader on that defense.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt was only on a 1-year deal, so he will be.
They need him. Listen, you need him.
He's older too, though.
He got another good year in him.
Yeah, and then Derek Nottie on the defensive line. I think we need Nottie again. You can't have Tershawn, Omenihu, and Nottie, and then potentially Chris Jones retires. That's your entire defensive line.
I mean, we got to keep them solid. You can revamp that whole offensive line, but that defensive line, you got to keep some of those guys in there.
Yeah, so it will be a very interesting offseason, not just for the Chiefs, as to kind of segue a little. Well, do you have any other commentary on the Super Bowl before we segue?
No.
We didn't talk about what Taylor was wearing. I liked it. I can't remember. Did you dislike it?
I liked it. I thought it was one of her best looks this season.
Somebody else that texted me that didn't like it. I liked it. I did see, we were talking about why are so many of the WAGs wearing white.
Uh-huh.
I did see it was an homage to the fact they were wearing the white jerseys.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So we've got all that happening. We'll also be interested to see what happens with McCole Hardman. He's always kind of on the bubble.
Yeah.
He's coming off.
Here's what I hope comes from this. I hope Travis learns that we need to go back to the shaved head.
Well, Aaron, my own husband, says mid-game, at halftime, Andy Reid just needs to shave that off.
Yeah. When he came out, I understood the throwback. But here's the thing. This season, when he was playing with the hair and he was doing the stupid outfits every game day, I thought. And then at the AFC Championship, he did not do, you got to fight for your right to party. And I thought, we're screwed. We're screwed for the Super Bowl. Because you know how I am with all the superstitions around it.
Yeah, that's what it did for you, huh?
It's not happening.
Yeah, oddly enough, I saw a note. He had that gold brooch on his John Travolta suit last night. But did you also see Ross Travis's big gold thing coming off?
Big rose that was gold. I don't understand what
I never know. And then if we don't ever find out, I'm always annoyed.
Well, and then what is it? Styled by Taylor on Instagram that always like breaks down their outfits and everything. She did like a thing about the brooch, but her picture was of an elephant. And I was like, well, that doesn't match.
Yeah, she kept saying.
I was hoping she could figure it out for us, but she couldn't either.
Yeah, I don't know.
He looked like an idiot. You looked ridiculous.
I'm just double checking to make sure. Yeah, we still have not seen any pictures from the suite or anything last night. I mean, obviously it was not going to be a celebratory mood.
Right.
My friends did have an invite to the official party, but they did not go. We did have Kayla Nicole, Travis's ex, on the field blowing confetti after she could. Well, anyway.
How does it happen? How does she? It's weird. It's odd. Again, odd behavior. Your frontal lobe fully formed. This is odd behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really get it. Also, I'm frustrated with Jason. Jason left the suite before Travis even got there and went to the Eagles locker room.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is what it is.
Listen, I understand that he played his whole career at the Eagles. I understand that you're still buddies with all them. You're only 1 year removed. It's not your moment. It's not your moment.
No. And family. I don't know. We'll see what he says on New Heights. That's all I can say.
Weird leading up to the Super Bowl that he was so odd about answering the question, who are you going to root for? We all know you're rooting for the Eagles. You want Travis to have a great game, but you're rooting for the Eagles. That's your team. Why is it so hard for you to say that? It was so weird how weird he was being about it.
The vibe was weird. The vibe was real weird.
And I'm going to say, I know that you had wished he had come back and he could have gotten a ring with them. I'm going to say he was part of the problem on the team. I think that there was, as his fame grew, and because of his friendship with the guys, I think there might have been some power struggles to where he thought maybe he should have been the leader instead of the quarterback. I think it was a good thing for him to be gone.
Well, there are a lot of people who are feeling that way about Travis today.
That's fair too.
It's not worth skipping the thought. I'm just saying, it's been a long career. It's been a great career. I mean, you made it to the Super Bowl, 5 of the past 6 years?
Yeah.
Several rings. You did, you've said, and he did break Jerry Rice's reception record in the Super Bowl last night. So, I don't know. We'll see. In other NFL news, Josh Allen won the MVP instead of Lamar Jackson. And
Thank goodness.
I was happy. About that. I will say Haley Steinfeld, she looked
gorgeous.
Stunning. Wow.
She was the best dressed there. I like the shorter hair on her. I don't like the short hair, but it's better than that long hair.
Yeah, it's a good length right now.
So good together. I loved that she walked the red carpet with him.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. So it sounds like the Jets are parting ways with Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. What a real tragedy.
Well, they have for sure said they're parting ways with Aaron Rodgers. So we do know that for certain. And then Davante, I think he has said he'll have conversations with them, but he has also said he would like to go to a West Coast team. So...
Well, and it sounds like the 49ers are parting ways with Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, they have allowed him to go look
Maybe
elsewhere.
they'll do a little switcheroo. I don't
Yep.
know. If I'm Debo, though, it's not the team I'm going to. I think he's desperate to end up in Philly because he was wearing an AJ Brown jersey yesterday. But whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have any early Super Bowl predictions for 2026?
I'm going to go Bills Ravens 2026.
It can't be.
It can't be, can it?
No, but that was fun for you for a second.
It was. I was so dead set on that. Bills, I don't see it. I don't think the Lions are going to have a great season. Who do I think NFC is going to go in?
I think the Eagles may come back. Who are they going to lose?
That's fair.
I don't know because I haven't looked at their free agency, but
I could see that too.
yeah,
I just think for AFC, I think that'll be the Bills here next year.
I do too.
I think there's a lot of rebuilding and retooling that has to happen on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Listen, it's not impossible for them to go back. We know that.
Yeah, anything could happen.
But
yeah, I'm thinking if I'm just shooting off the cuff, I'm thinking Eagles, Bills, and I would love to see Josh Allen get it.
Mm-hmm.
So that wraps up our NFL season.
It's over. I mean, we still have the combine and a few weeks.
Draft, and then we'll be, before you know it, training camp will be here. We have plenty of content to come, a lot of fun stuff for you guys. So don't think that life is ending for us.
We do have what is iHeart in March, Radio Music Awards.
We're going to
get our first red carpet. Yep. So here's to hoping for that.
Are you ready to answer some questions?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, speaking of what we were just discussing from Julie, who will win a Super Bowl first, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
I'm going Josh Allen. I know everybody thinks Lamar's fantastic. I don't know if he has the push through.
I'm going to tell you, I don't think Lamar Jackson's ever going to win a Super Bowl.
Okay. I don't think you're wrong.
Spicy, but I mean,
big swing to take.
Yeah. I mean, I told you it'd be spicy today. So, yeah, I'm definitely going Josh. Also, what we were just discussing from Alex. Should the Chiefs bring back DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown? What about Kareem Hunt, which we were kind of just talking about?
Yeah. I think Hollywood we can do with or without. I think DeAndre brings a vet thing. If you utilize him correctly, he's great. And I also think you need Kareem for another year. I think we got to get Pacheco back up to the level that he was. So we need Kareem until he's ready.
Yeah, my only fear about DeAndre is the age thing. I feel like he's going to, especially another year older, be very situational, which is fine and very needed. But I think if we are going to be missing Rasheed for a while, we're going to need something. I don't think Hollywood's the answer. I think he's too injury prone. We're going to need something with Xavier Worthy. And we don't have it right now. It's not Juju. It's all of those guys are all situational.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and I would love to have Kareem back as long as he's still got that dog in him, as they say.
Yep.
Okay, this is a good one from Shannon. Can Drake make a comeback, or how does any celeb in a negative light do so anymore? Even Blake. Social is just overly active, damaging them all when they are down.
Well, I think when it comes to Drake, we don't have to really any celebrity or any person in general, rule of life, take a knee, guys. You don't have to respond to everything that is said about you.
Yeah.
We don't have to give our energy to things that people say, true or not true. Listen, people are going to believe what they want to believe, true or not true.
Yeah.
Don't give your energy to it. I think that they get into these predicaments and then make it worse for themselves by feeling like you have to come back and combat every single thing that's got to be exhausting. Listen, the people that know you, the people that matter, they know the truth. That's all that matters. And I think that any celeb can come back. Maybe just be a good person. Maybe stop being so shitty to people around you. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care that your reputation is that you're a mean girl. Be better. You don't get to sit on that excuse forever.
Yeah. as much as like we're Team Kendrick, I believe Team Drake still exists.
For sure.
Yeah, did you take a hit? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There's still
Listen,
millions.
I think that hit might have come that like your comebacks just weren't as good. Had you had some really good comebacks, you could have taken that. But
yeah, I mean, I just think there's still millions upon millions of people that are Drake fans. So
yeah.
Will Drake have a comeback? Yeah, I think his career will continue. Like,
right. I don't think he needs a comeback. I think he's just
keep being Drake. I mean, you're still gonna listen. And here's the thing: I'm Team Kendrick. Drake's putting out an album, I believe, next week. I'm still gonna listen. I don't treat Drake the way I treat Kanye.
Right.
So it's different.
That's fair.
It's different for me. You're right, though. I'm sorry. What was my apologies, Shannon? You're right. I think it's tough to be a celebrity today with social media. I mean, it's tough to be a human with social media. They were talking about in church yesterday. I think it was 1 in every 2 kids develops a mental health issue because of social media. I mean, it's a dangerous place. And like you put yourself out there. I mean, here's the thing though. You do choose that life, to be a celebrity and have your life out there. I don't think anyone that gets into that world today is like, oh, I had no idea that was coming. And if you are that way, like, you kind of deserve whatever stupid thing happens to you.
Yeah.
But I just think that it's that way with everything. With the 24/7 news cycle, everything is heightened. Everything is so much worse than it was. Like a girl was saying to me yesterday, like, oh my gosh, there's so many plane crashes and all these weird things happening with planes right now. And there have been a few.
Right.
But that stuff's always happened. We just see it all more now.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is not a political show, but, people either are obsessed with Donald Trump or they hate Donald Trump. Lots of activity, a lot of things he's doing, removing, adding, all this
compromise anymore.
Well, that stuff always happened before. Yeah. It's just we didn't know about it the same.
Right.
And, like, I think back to when Gossip Girl was first on the air. I was living in DC. So I was in my like early 20s and loved the show. I didn't know. I knew who Blake Lively was because I'd seen Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Yeah. I didn't know who Leighton Meester was. I didn't know who Ben Badgley was. I knew Chase Crawford because he used to date somebody I went to college with. Like, but I didn't know their personal lives. I didn't know anything about them. So I just loved the show.
Yeah.
And now, all these years later, it's been a few years since my early 20s, I know way more about these people than I wanted to and probably should, but they chose that life. And so I think part of it is like, we all need to touch grass.
Right. Like, but I also think that sometimes people care a little too much. Even if that information is available to us, we don't have to go hunt it down.
Well, and it's like, if every single move I made was put on social media.
God. Do you know how many times we'd be canceled?
Listen, you think you don't like Blake Lively. I mean, I'm just saying, like, at least she's hot. That's what I'm saying. Like, at least she got that going for her.
Shoot.
I just think that that's part of it. So Drake will be totally fine. Y'all quit worrying about the man. He'll be fine. He does need to stay away from the young ladies, but that's a whole other thing. All right, from Jackson. Saquon was a massive trade / addition from this season / who could / should. Listen, Jackson, we need to work on our slashing. Who could / should be that this next season. You're right. And we said this. I think that we should probably get some kind of award. But we said if the Eagles can't make it to the Super Bowl with everything they added to their roster in the offseason, then nobody can. And look what happened. I think we deserve something.
Listen, I'm telling you, we should be consultants. They need us on the sidelines. They need us sitting in those meetings. Yeah. Listen, I'm not for an hour straight. I'm not giving you gold here. But I've had enough that I can throw at you. Yeah. Even I was telling Doug last night when I was yelling at Navy and all the horrible play calling, I was like, listen, if someone who I couldn't draw up a play to save my life, I can't tell you all the ins and outs of the actual game. Yeah. But if I'm seeing you need to use this person for this. You're not using this weapon. This guy can't do this. If I can see that, these coaches should be able to see this. So they need us. They need us in those rooms to just throw out those little nuggets of knowledge.
Clearly.
You didn't have to pay me a ton of money. Listen, we're real cheap. We can be
know.
bought so easily.
Oh, cheap. You wouldn't even know what's gone.
That's right.
We have not done our thorough research. I would love for us to, maybe I'll task you with this.
Oh, good.
I want to know where the Eagles are in the cap space. Like, are we going to be able to, like, you know, are we over? Are we going to be able to keep the same roster? Like,
now I want to say, because I saw a graphic that showed, I want to say they're under in cap space,
which is crazy with everybody they brought in. But, you know, they got a steal of a deal with Cooper DeJean being a rookie. That dude should have never dropped all the way down there, but who would have thought?
I'm going to tell you, they lucked out on him.
I will say he's probably about to get canceled because he and Blankenship are coming out with a podcast called The Exciting Whites.
Maybe not. Maybe not the best.
Probably not going to be great. I am real curious to see how that plays out. But what I will say is Jeffrey Lurie did a fantastic job in the offseason. Nobody is stupider in America today than the Giants front office. Like,
right. And they're not even changing. Next year, they're going to be the exact same.
Just keep up the stupidity. So, yeah, you're right. Probably the best acquisition of the entire offseason was most definitely Saquon going to the Eagles. I think he was exactly what they needed. I think he's exactly what Jalen needed.
But how do you even – because my answer to this is how could you even know? How could you even know that you take this one player and you move him into a different situation and he's going to be setting records?
Well, and the only way I was able to think about this was I was thinking about these teams that are so close yet just miss every time. So I was thinking of the Buffalo Bills, okay?
Yeah.
And what I was thinking is, like, what is the missing piece? Because Josh Allen is phenomenal. So what is your missing piece? Is it not having a wide receiver one? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I really probably would have said the issue for the Bills this season was defense. And so then I'm like, okay, but what are we talking? Are we talking defensive line, safety, linebacker? Like, it's just so many moving pieces. So that's what I was trying to do, was like really think about these teams who were close. But I was also thinking about coaching staffs. Because that is such a make it or break it thing that I think gets skipped over so often.
Well, and I also think it's one of those things with offensive and defensive coaches. Maybe you weren't great. Like Kellen Moore, when he came from Dallas, we were like, is he fantastic? But then you put him in the Eagles and he does really well. You give him a good quarterback, you give him a coach that lets him coach. He does really well. I think that it's just one of those things where you got to test out the waters. 1 year, this guy's going to work. 1 year, he might not work for this organization, but he's going to go win the Super Bowl at this organization.
Well, and you have to remember, you got to think about a couple of things. Sophomore slump. A lot of guys that have a great rookie season come back the next year and bloop. You got to remember Saquon has had a torn ACL before. So, you know, that plays on you. But I have a spicy take on this one.
Okay.
Actually, a twofer.
Yeah.
I am going to say, because I think you can get a pretty low dollar value on this, I'm going to say the Las Vegas Raiders need to go get Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp.
100%.
Because I'm thinking Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, out of the Rams hold that's been on him, Brock Bowers, keep Max Crosby. I'm just saying, guys.
Yep.
Especially if it could potentially be a down season for the Chiefs in the AFC. I'm just saying.
Actually, yeah. Listen, put us in the room. We got some ideas, folks.
Got some plans for you. Did you come up with an answer?
I didn't. I truly, I just don't. Yeah. I don't know.
Sorry, Jackson. Becca was out on your questions.
I really was.
It was all the slashing. She couldn't handle the slashing.
It was a lot. It was a lot to take in.
Oh, man. Are you ready for some Y Factor?
Let's do it.
Oh, I had a question I forgot to ask you.
Oh, please. Make sure you get that in.
Yes. Did you like any of the commercials?
Oh, I did.
Okay, just tell me.
I liked the Uber Eats one. I thought was really good.
Okay.
Oh shoot, there was another one that I thought was really good and I can't remember. There weren't a ton.
I was gonna say it was a down year for commercials. I didn't think there was. I didn't cry during any, which is weird.
Duncan was pretty funny.
The one with Ben Affleck.
Yep.
It was a weird year because normally there's always one, typically Budweiser, that makes me cry.
Yeah.
I didn't have that this year. I'm noticing a trend. A lot of Schitt's Creek everywhere.
Yes.
So I think that show's definitely coming back, which has been rumored.
Now there was one with David Beckham and Matt Damon. I don't know what the product was that they were selling, but the commercial was hilarious.
Yeah. I will say I loved the Nike Sha'Carri Richardson, the women's.
Yes.
I loved that. The other one I really liked. Well, the one with the lady from Schitt's Creek, the eyebrow thing.
Oh yeah, they were playing pickleball.
Yeah, pickleball. I thought that was funny.
Funny.
I thought it was a real down season.
Yeah.
For those. But anyway, okay, why factor?
Okay, well, my why not for this week was some of those Super Bowl commercials.
Oh.
I think we got used to back in the day. Every commercial was like fantastic. They had put all this money into it. Like it was funny. This year there was a lot. And I'm sure that like every place that you live has some like local commercials that come on that are just on. We had a lot of car dealership commercials.
Okay, so I never realized that was what network did you stream from?
Fox.
But like, were you watching Fox? Oh, because you still have cable, don't you?
Yes.
I forget about that because people like you don't exist. Because I have YouTube TV, so we didn't get any like locally things.
Yeah. There was a bunch of those, but even there were some other companies that I'm like, if you're paying $8 million for a spot, what? You didn't do anything creative.
No, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. So I was a little disappointed in that.
Yeah. I have a couple things that I'm still kind of debating in my head that I wanted to pick from.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had this one before, but I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna switch it up just a little.
Okay.
As my long-standing thing that I do not like is stupid people. But I'm gonna go with people who live in the past.
Oh, I'm gonna let you preach on that one.
Because guys, like time moves on.
Yes.
And if you don't, you just look dumber than you already look. And so, you know, like I know sometimes like you think, oh, I don't have anything, so I should just show up places and I should just become a fan of this or do that or go on this TV show because I got to have some kind of relevance. Maybe you should find yourself.
If you guys think this is aimed at a one specific person, you're right. You're right.
God, it's like, it's cringe.
It's
like
weird behavior.
It's cringe. Like, I almost think we may need a stalker restraining order. Like
at some point, yes.
Creepy. But also it's just cringe to watch a grown-ass woman who claims to be all empowered not have a clue who they are as a human individual. And like, listen, once you've hit, I'm gonna go 33. Okay, let's just pick a random number.
I feel like that's safe.
Once you hit 33, if you have absolutely no clue who you are apart from your past, you are the problem. And you need to get out of the limelight that you keep shoving yourself in for no relevant reason and get some help. Touch some grass, go to therapy, find yourself, get a life. That's what really.
Because now you don't have to put your dreams on hold that you kept saying your dreams and ambitions were on hold. You don't have to do that anymore.
You don't have to pay for half the meals you claimed you paid for.
That's right, girlfriend. Go do you.
Do you. So stupid people, as always. I hate you.
Okay.
What are you loving this week?
So what I'm loving this week, first off, you had recommended the OJ documentary on Netflix last week. I started watching that. I think I'm halfway through it. So good. You were right. They show a lot of evidence and talk to a lot of people and things that like we never saw in court.
Okay. And so you mentioned this, did you not have mind blow every time it would pop up and say, like, they would show you some evidence and say, this was never investigated.
Yes.
This never, like, so many.
And then people like the limo driver. And I'm like, why didn't you say I saw him walk into the house? What? Like, listen, if I'm getting questioned, if I'm on the stand, I'm telling you everything. Because even if I don't think it's relevant, somebody does. And these people just like were barely answering. It's wild. It was wild. So that was really good. So I started watching that. Also, I really in general, like documentaries. I don't love so much the like murdery ones. I really like scam type documentaries. Because you can watch those at all hours of the day without being scared.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had mentioned the Scamanda one last week.
Yeah.
So I was watching it. I had to catch it on Hulu on Friday. And so then I was like, well, I'm in the mood to watch something else. There was one that came on Hulu called Scam Goddess. I guess this lady also has a podcast, which I had never heard of it. It's like an hour. There was 4 episodes. I think there's probably more, but Hulu only had 1 season with a couple of episodes. But she does like just little scams that happened in a town or whatever. It was so good. It kept your attention. Again, it's 1 hour. So she's not wasting storytelling time. We're throwing in the facts. We're giving you like conversations with people in town. It was really good. So if you're looking for a documentary while we're waiting for Full Swing to come out, and we're waiting for any other sport documentary to come out this year while football is gone, Scam Goddess on Hulu. Real good. Real quick watch.
Well, I've got 2. I have another documentary for you. I don't know what you're going to think about this one though. Have you heard about Don't Die on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're not familiar, this is about this guy who wants to live forever.
Have you watched it?
Yeah.
So weird. It's so weird.
But I'm like
fascinating, but so weird.
Very, very fascinating. I said I have 2. I'm sorry. I actually have 3.
Okay.
But I am really wishing Aaron could respond to me real quick because I cannot think of the name of. That's it right there. I found it. Aaron and I watched a movie on the actual TV.
Look at you guys.
It's a whole weird life that we're living. And this is not a movie I would normally get into, but I got to tell you, it was very fascinating and I got very involved. This could be spicy. I do not enjoy Chris Pratt as an actor.
Okay. That's fair.
I just don't. But he was in a movie that came out 4 years ago called The Tomorrow War. Are you familiar with this?
I'm not. Doug's shaking his head. Yes, he is.
What did he think? Just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Thumbs up or thumbs down? Oh, he goes.
Oh, okay. Well. Okay. So
not his wife actor.
Okay. Well, it's understandable. This is again not my lane, but essentially like the world is stunned when this group of time travelers comes from like 2051 maybe. And it's like 30 years in the future, and essentially mankind is like losing this global war against a deadly alien species. Now, again, I do not like alien stuff at all. Yeah. Watching it, I sat down and I was like, well, it's kind of entertaining. Because spoiler alerts, it turns out like in the beginning of the movie, Chris Pratt has a little girl and a wife, and then a dad that he has a weird relationship with who's like all into government conspiracies. Okay. And then this like worldwide draft becomes a thing because these aliens keep taking out places. Okay. He ends up getting drafted, and so he goes 30 years into the future, and he ends up like seeing his daughter again. Kind of work together. It's a whole thing. It was actually really good though. But there are some aliens that are real creepy looking, and that's not my vibe. But the third thing is I have to give a shout out because she has hooked us up. Well, I got to pick yours up, but yes, there is a woman in Lee Summit, Missouri. Her name is Gina Siebel. She owns a shop called KC Swagger, and I had seen and I had shown Becca.
Good stuff.
I know. I had shown Becca probably a couple of weeks ago. Chief sweatshirt. It said KC and it said big reputation. Now y'all know that Becca thinks Rep TV is not happening. I thought for sure for some reason Kendrick was going to play a little Bad Blood last night. It was going to get announced then. That was the whole thing. But anyway, she has some super cute stuff. She does have an online shop. It's kcswaggershop.com. It is obviously very heavy Kansas City Chiefs, Royals, the soccer teams here. But she also does like a ton of like custom stuff if you need stuff for like your teams or anything like that. She is the nicest person ever. It's like her and a friend. They have a little warehouse out in
nice.
And so I contacted her and we talked, and it was like, hey, if you can get here by 4, I'll give you this sweatshirt, whatever, these sweatshirts. Well, Friday was chaotic for me, so I wasn't going to make it. So I texted her and I was like, oh my gosh, I hate it because I so want this, blah, blah. She was like, we'll just wait for you. Oh I am nobody. And then I needed 2 larges, one for me, one for Becca. She only had one, but she's making one for Becca. And so I'm going to get that from her. Yeah.
You had mentioned her name again. And so this weekend I went and looked, and I had a thing about like, I can't purchase Casey stuff because that was also going to cause them to lose. But then after they shit the bed yesterday, I was like, okay, now I'm back to it. And so I was looking on her thing, trying to pick out stuff. First off, her pricing, real good.
Yeah.
Real good pricing.
Yeah.
But she has one that's got like this like wolf guy walking or something. He's got like a flag over his shoulder and it says Casey on his thing. It's so adorable. Yeah. I will be purchasing.
She has some really cute, like, out of the norm kind of, everybody's stuff kind of looks the same. She does. And so we had a long conversation. She stayed late Friday night to meet up with me at her thing with her friend. Yes. A long conversation about Blake Lively. Gina, if y'all are listening, I understand y'all are on Becca's side. It's fine. I don't need a team. Hey, we're all Team Taylor, so at least we're there. But anyway, she kind of got blown up, like in a good way, because some of the Swiftie accounts on Twitter found her stuff. And so she had an epic week last week, and she still stayed late and took the time. So anyway, I just really want to show her out and her stuff. I wore it yesterday to church, and I'll post some stuff too again. Yeah. It was amazing, and she's great, and I can't wait for Becca to get hers. But yeah,
I went and followed her on all of her things. She also has, which I noticed, and I've not seen any other little small shop or any big shop sell it. I wear sweatshirts every single day. I'm always cold. She had, but I can't wear a hood because on my meetings.
I told her I don't need a hoodie for Becca. I need a crew.
Listen, she has crews that also have a front pocket, so my cold hands have a place to go.
I know.
I can't tell you how much I loved it when I saw it. I'll be getting.
She was like, because I do hoodies. And so she was like, do you want 2 large hoodies? I was like, no, Becca's more of a crew necker. So,
that's right.
But yeah, like totally
all
amazing.
The gear gets jumbled in it. I can't.
I know. So anyway, that's it. Guys, I know y'all are worried that football's over and we're not going to have content. I
promise you.
We're good. We've got a super fun interview coming up.
We do.
We can't wait to have her on. Yes. Which we'll actually sprinkle. She's going to be on to talk about public relations, PR, and communications. But listen, she's a big sports fan too, so we'll sprinkle some of that in.
Yes.
But yeah, we still got tons of stuff, so keep coming back. Follow us. We don't know what's going to happen to the TikTok, but keep your questions coming.
That's right.
And we'll talk to y'all soon. And go.
That's right.